is Randi Miller. I am a former elite wrestler, and now I coach wrestling. Wrestling was actually sanctioned already in high school, when I was in high school. But long story short, I played basketball, got cut from the team, and wrestling being in the same season, I decided that I would give wrestling a try. I had seen it years prior, but never really gave it a real chance because I was convinced I was going to be a basketball star. But when that dream kind of ended, it opened up space for me to try something new, and that something new was wrestling. So first day of wrestling, I think this is true for most people, but definitely true for me, you have a very strong reaction to it because it is a very intense experience. It is a very hard thing to do, like emotionally and physically. Like you're out here fighting someone basically, and you're out there by yourself. So you either, I think, love it or hate it. First practice, I really loved it. And I was like, I want to be good at this. I want to see how far I can take this. This is fun. It challenged me. I've always been kind of a physical person. When I played basketball, I was physical. So I just felt like finally I found my space. I recently found out on another Title IX panel that I did that Title IX affected me back in high school, even though I didn't know anything about it. There was a girl who wanted to wrestle before I came along, but there was no space for her. And her mom actually used Title IX to advocate for her, and that's why they ended up sanctioning women's wrestling. And 2 years later, I came along, and it was just already a state tournament. Girls already wrestled. I could jump right in and had a home. So whoever that person is, whoever that girl that decided she wanted to wrestle down here in Texas, and whoever the mom was, thank you. You've changed my life immensely. You changed the course of my life. Thank you. I actually made an announcement that in 2004, they were going to add women's wrestling. I graduated high school in 2001, 2002 we got the announcement. And I told myself, okay, I'm probably not gonna be ready by '04, but I can be ready by '08. I'll be ready by '08. And at the time, I was looking up to the top women in women's wrestling. Like we got to see them at the international tournaments that we had to compete in, as well as our college tournaments. And I've just never seen athletes like that in person, like just lean, moving well, putting together combinations I've never seen, competing well, warming up with like a serious face, like have plans. And I saw that it kind of changed the way I did things a little bit, but all the women that came before me, Takara, which were the same age, but she was just really good. Takara Montgomery, Iris Smith, Sarah McMahon, who I ended up having to compete against for my spot. I spent quite a bit of time looking up to her. Katie Downing, now known as Katie Kriebel, I can go on. I could go on. That is something that's very special to me. I know for me what representation did for me. It also did another whole change for me. Like the woman advocating for her daughter changed my life. Seeing Iris Smith, who's an Olympic champion, she actually took me, or Olympic champion, world champion, she actually took me as her training partner to Worlds where she won. And again, it changed everything for me. And just being able to see someone that looks like me, that didn't necessarily have a wrestling background, she made herself into a wrestler, changed everything. So to be that for someone else means it's like cherry on top. For at least in my experience, and I hope that a lot of people come away from the sport, is after I did this, I was pretty convinced I could learn how to do anything. And I also learned with the sport, because anybody can be good if you put your time in, and I don't really know if it's like that. If you're not fast, you're not fast, right? I mean, you could get faster, but I think there's just some limitations in other sports, but in wrestling, it's not. You can figure out how to win a fight based on your gifts, right? Like you don't have to be the tallest, the fastest, or strongest. You can focus on what you're good at and win matches that way. Circling back to life is I hope, or what I learned, and I hope that my athletes learn, that after this experience, you can learn to do anything. Yeah. If you know how to focus on the right stuff, work on what's working. The gift that I got from the sport is that I can do anything. I'm limitless. I just have to be able to to kind of figure out how to put it together, but I can do it. I would say that my discrimination that I face is probably no different than any other woman that finds themselves in a male-dominated field and is doing well. If I could offer any advice, I would say try your best not to care. The heat is on is because you're good, and then just keep going with it. No one would care if it was insignificant. People are upset because you're doing good at something that they didn't think you should be doing something good at. So just try not to care and keep doing your thing. Definitely just focus on the people who want to work with me and want to keep and cultivate a positive relationship with me, and the people who don't, I just don't. Sometimes it does get to me because I do really get upset when people have criticisms of me. Yeah, I go as far as to say I'm not good at something or I can't do this when I'm a whole Olympic medalist. And the only reason why you feel empowered to say that is because you're a man. Because if I were a man Olympic medalist, you wouldn't even look in my direction. So that does get to me a little bit. But again, I just try not to focus on that and focus on the people who do want to work with me and focus on cultivating and building those relationships. Wish people would see is just the discipline that it takes to be in a combat weight specific sport. The courage it takes to go out there day in and day out and put on a singlet and go in the middle of the mat in front of everybody by yourself and go match one-on-one with somebody, how the courage it takes to do that and to continue to do that. I wish people would talk about the resiliency it takes to do this year after year, being a woman in a male-dominated sport, in a weight-specific sport. That is also one-on-one combat. I wish people would kind of look at what it takes to do that: resilience, discipline, accountability, courage, and focus on that rather than what they think they might be seeing. Number one, the mother using Title IX to advocate for her daughter changed my life significantly. And number two, they started all these college programs because they were trying to save the men's programs, which helped me significantly. So thank you, Title IX.